Hey everybody, and welcome to the Jesus Magnet. Today I'm joined with host Joel Hillary.
Yay!
And our guest today is Mr. Remy.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing, Remy?
Doing good, really good.
Now let's go over how to say your last name one more time.
Okay, so my last name is thejesusmagnet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to attempt to say that, but thank you for being here,
Yeah,
Mr. Remy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got a cool story to go with that last name, but
Yeah?
save it up for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the cool story?
Well, to make it easy, like the English translation of that name is "I trust in God, the provider."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So, yeah, let me. How I got that last name. It's a unique story. Like in Rwanda, the country that I was born, everybody has his own last name.
Yeah.
So there's not like this one Sir family last name. Just everybody just has his own last name. How they do it,
Really?
I have no idea.
Probably a real big phone book.
So your parents have a different last name than you.
They do.
How do you guys keep track of being related, apart from living in the same house?
Yeah, just looks, how we look, look alike, keep each other. But no, I think the tradition is that it's just a whole different culture, like more tribal culture. So people know who belongs to whose tribe, from which village.
Yeah.
And then they know, like, okay, who is your father, your mother? And then they connect you to that, to
Wow.
your parents, yeah.
Wow. So hang on. So where were you born?
I was born in Rwanda.
Rwanda.
Yeah.
Where's that? I don't know my. Well, let's just say for the listeners listening, where is Rwanda?
Rwanda's like in the heart of Africa, just a little bit under the equator, in the center, in the middle.
Cool. Right.
Next to Congo, above Burundi.
Okay. Yeah, I think I got it in my head.
Yeah.
But you've grown up in Holland.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can speak Dutch, and you've got your parents have been there
Yeah.
for a long time now as well.
Yeah.
So on your passport, do your parents have a different last name than you as well?
We all have a different last name. It's,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's like just my little brother was born in the Netherlands, has my dad's last name,
Oh, okay.
but I have this last name, which means, God is my provider.
Yeah.
And the story behind that is, they picked your last name by, the circumstances you were born under.
Yeah.
And the circumstances I was born under was that I was born too late, 3 weeks overtime.
Right.
So my
right.
mom was just, stressing out, like, why is this kid not coming out,
Yeah.
And then she had this auntie, or my auntie, her sister-in-law.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just go to the witch doctors, just go to the witch doctors, and they'll know how to get it out. And my mom said, I'm not
Wow.
going to the witch doctors.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what does she do instead?
So yeah, she said, I'm a Christian. I'm not going to the witch doctors. And so, I'm a Christian too, but just give it a try. And she's like, no, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait on God, my provider. So she called me thejesusmagnet. God is my provider.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So your whole family and all that have sort of witnessed and experienced firsthand, well, not experienced, but been introduced to the witch doctor sort of spiritual realm right from an early, like, it's just cultural.
Yeah, just
All that.
cultural. Yeah.
Wow.
indeed.
So what would have the witch doctor done? Like what kind of things could they do or claim to do?
I have no idea what they would have done. I do know that some family members of mine who did go to the witch doctors, and tragic just after tragic kept happening in that family. And I just asked my dad one day, what's wrong? Like, what's going on with my uncle and my aunt? And it's like, well, back in Rwanda, he used to go to the witch doctors, and you kind of make like this contract, and the moment you stop doing that, then bad things start to happen.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So you were born in Rwanda.
Yeah.
How'd you end up in the Netherlands?
Yeah, it's getting dark real quick.
Yeah.
And why the
You
Netherlands?
you can start from wherever you want.
Yeah.
But you're Rwanda, Netherlands, and now you're in Queenstown, New Zealand. So
yeah,
I'm interested.
It's like a full triangle, eh?
it is.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. I was born in '92, and in '94, I don't know for the people who know about Rwanda, the genocide happened over there. So there was in '94, we had these two tribes who were fighting each other, and one tribe who was, you could say, exiled 40 years before, came back into the country and wanted then to, kick the other tribe out. And by that, in 100-day times, they slaughtered over 1 million people. And
100 days.
In 100 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So and that, in the midst of all that chaos, my mom, fortunately, she was in the Netherlands already. She was visiting a friend who was married to a Dutchman. And while my mom was there in the Netherlands, she managed to get some help from a local church who just gave our names of my dad, my sister, and I, who were still in Rwanda during this massacre, to Doctors Without Borders. And eventually, after fleeing and walking around the bush for 3 months, we managed to get to a refugee camp. And from there, we got taken to the Netherlands.
And you would have been under 2.
Yeah, I was 2 years old, so I was just a baby being dragged along around all this running around.
How, the crazy thing is I'm actually seeing the first couple of years of Jesus in this story.
Right.
Where Jesus, he was around 2 years old when they were told to go to Egypt. And then there was a massive genocide of all the boys. And then that from Herod. Then they came back. Man, that's insane. So if you were to go back to your hometown right now, would you be one of the only people like your age? Like there'll be a big thin layer of your generation?
Yeah, there definitely is in Rwanda. It's like everyone Rwandese worldwide has lost family members in the genocide. So there will be definitely there's a whole generation wiped out, and a lot of young people, you could say, more. Yeah, my generation. But there definitely is a sweep.
So was it the same sort of age group, all fight like the warriors of all the tribes?
It was just mayhem. Everybody
Everyone
died.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
everyone died. Yeah,
and that's horrible.
Yeah.
And did some of your family escape as well, or just your parents, you, and your siblings? Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have an older sister at that time, younger brother now, but he was born in the Netherlands.
Right. Yeah, that's right. You said that.
Well, at that time, it was just my mom in the Netherlands, and my dad, my sister, and I. We were the only 3 who were allowed to go on a plane. We were the official first Rwandese refugees in the Netherlands.
Oh my gosh!
But later on, years later, other family members managed to get out. Some went to Goma. It's another African country. Others went to Zambia. Others went to South Africa. And years later, when I was around the age of 7, 8, I had some other family members, some aunts, some nephews, and my grandma, my mom's mother, come to the Netherlands too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome that your mum's mum was able to make it all the way over there.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you essentially escaped and went to the Netherlands?
So I was 2 years old.
Okay.
I think we came in the Netherlands around October or something of 94. Yeah. So my first memories that I have are just being, I think, around the age of 3, being in a asylum center in the Netherlands and just playing with other refugee kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why did your family choose the Netherlands? Was it something that the Lord had spoken to your parents about? Like you said, your mum was already over there.
Yeah.
Was she over there, well, you said from one of her friends had married a Dutch man. That's the reason, the connection that brought her to go visit?
Yeah. So exactly, she had that friend, but that friend, husband, the Dutchman, he died.
Oh, wow.
So my mom, went there to comfort her, to mourn with her,
Yeah, okay.
to spend time with her, and during her visit there, the whole thing that set off the genocide happened so quick that they shot the plane of the president, and then just the genocide just exploded. And yeah, and that time my mom said she used to watch the Dutch news, the TV, and she's like, no, this can't be right. This is not happening in my country. I just spoke to them a couple of days ago.
Oh my gosh.
That must have been surreal. Yeah. And like you said, everyone from Rwanda lost someone in the genocide. And as I was just looking, Rwanda has a population of like close to 12 million.
Yeah.
I guess that's now. But the estimated death toll of the genocide was 1.1 million.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, 12th of your country, almost 10%. That's a ton of people. So yeah, I would imagine everyone knows someone or had lost someone at that point, and within 100 days.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So with you going from Rwanda to the Netherlands, did your family bring your culture with you, or have you because you've pretty much grown up in the Netherlands, and same with your little brother? Have you fully taken on that Dutch sort of culture and mentality, or do you still keep some of the Rwandan heritage?
Yeah. I mean, it is definitely, both. Like, I definitely
bit of a mix.
Feel, I would say more. If I travel anywhere in the world, I'll just say I'm Dutch. I'm from the Netherlands because I speak Dutch. My mindset is quite Dutch. We really direct people and go. And
my father-in-law. Right?
Yeah, But yeah, no, I definitely had from home and from family who later came in the Netherlands and other Rwandese refugees that the Rwandese culture of just just coming together and taking the time together. And if there was a feast, they will just feast the whole day. And if it can, the next day too.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's find out where God is in all this mix, because, you've escaped this massive genocide with your family.
Yeah.
And then you've settled in the Netherlands. You're learning Dutch. You're growing up in the Dutch culture. Where and how did you find the Lord? You said your mum, when she named your last name, what does it mean again?
I trust in God, a provider.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So she obviously sort of marked you for God, and you live your life like that right now, like you're doing Youth with the Mission. So how did you find the Lord? Is that something that you grew up with? Because your mum obviously has a very, very strong faith. Did you adopt that faith on your own, or did you go through a trial period of finding God yourself, or how did that work?
Yeah, it took a while for me actually to come to faith. Since I only came to faith when I was 18. So yeah, being 2 years old in the Netherlands.
How old are you now?
I'm 29.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I am.
I thought you were way younger than that.
Yeah, it's black don't crack.
Yeah.
So you came to faith when you were 18. How'd that happen?
So yeah, I definitely had a deposit of faith from my mom with a name like that, and just always praying for me and my sister before going to bed. My mother is a Catholic. And most of Rwandese are Catholic, and she just do the Our Father, the Hail Mary. They put us on a Christian primary school where you just hear the biblical stories as a kid. But yeah, as soon as we became teenagers, me and my sister just went our own way, and especially if my parents, I didn't realize it as a kid, but the older I got, I just saw how what a trauma they had from the war. They left their nation. They lost all they built up. They lost family members, and then they hear they're there in a strange nation. They didn't speak the language at the beginning. Got to start all over again. My mom went back to school. My dad used to be a vet, but he started his first job in the Netherlands working in a factory making traffic signs. So such a different life. And later on, I just saw how they were coping. And my dad, he had it really, really rough, because after the war, even the war was over. The people who invaded the country, the tribe that came back, they took control over the country.
Yeah.
And they made it like into a police state. And my dad, he always was sending money back to his family, to his dad who survived the war. And one day, he sent the money to a Dutch man who was going to travel to Rwanda. Mm-hmm. He went to see my grandpa, my father's dad, and he gave him an envelope with some money in it. Mm-hmm. And when later that man left, the secret police came, in Rwanda, who just keep an eye on everyone, and they started just questioning my granddad, like, who was dead? What are you doing? Are you trying to raise an insurgent? They were just paranoid after, who wouldn't be after what happened in that country?
Yeah.
But they arrested my granddad. They beat him. Then they released him again, and then he died later from those wounds.
Whoa. So
my father, he always had that guilt that he caused the death of his own father. Mm. So that had a really heavy toll on him and weight, and that he just self-medicated a lot in alcohol.
Yeah. That's a terrible guilt to take on yourself, isn't it? Because obviously, you can't blame your dad at all. Like, that's just the police and the brutality that happens, and obviously the war taking that psychological and very spiritual toll on whole enforcement. Yeah. Just abusing that power and being so paranoid, like you said, paranoid about something going to happen, something going to repeat itself, and trying to, it's amazing. It's amazing that sort of stuff happens these days. We're like, being in New Zealand, it's quite foreign, thinking that has happened just in our lifetime, just because we're in such a young country and that sort of thing. I mean, I would say in smaller, not quite as large genocides, like I think we had a shooting a few years back, and that was equivalent to 30,000 people per capita.
Right.
For New Zealand.
Because how many people died in the Christchurch shooting?
I don't know off the top of my head. It wasn't like anything comparing to like one of the American shootings, like a school shooting or something like that. But if you go per capita, I think it was equated to like 30,000. Just
51 deaths.
51 deaths,
wow.
Which is not...
In a country with a population of 4 million.
5 million now,
5 million.
But 4 million at the time.
So, I mean, it's devastating either way.
Yeah, any death is not good. But
So your dad, I mean, he's taking this upon himself, which is like, I mean, I guess it's easy for us to say because we understand, all right, well, look, you shouldn't take that upon yourself. That's not your responsibility. But he was coping that with coping with that through alcohol and whatnot. So how old were you at this point?
No, for me, I guess I was just a kid, I didn't really realize it. I was just a kid growing up, couldn't pinpoint the age because all these stuff, about my parents' past and the genocide hearing later when I'm more, a teenager, because I'm just trying to figure out like, oh, why, I'm just realizing I'm not like a really ordinary family, things are different in my family. And, my dad, just being more absent than in the raising of me and my sister. And my mom, the way she dealt to cope with it was just really throwing herself on politics. She started with other refugees, political party, to try to get their country back. So they were just, really a lot of sole focus to get back to their country. And that's really understandable. Now I started to understand it more, like what it would mean. Because my dad, I think he was around my age, when he left Rwanda when he had to flee and start over. And, man, I can't even imagine, to think about, okay, losing everyone you ever knew.
Yeah.
And then building up a new life.
Yeah, not just fleeing a country, but many people dying that only to rebuild your life somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's gotta take a toll for sure. Did your father know Christ?
I would say, as everyone, Rwandese would say, yeah, I believe in God, but if there was a living faith, I never saw that.
Not a relational one.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
So growing up, me and my sister, we had quite a free range because my dad, absent in the raising, my mom focused on Rwanda and her politics. Mm-hmm. So me and my sister, we just did the outrageous things as little kids, because kids are, if you don't raise your kid too well, man, your kids are evil. Like we would, we just, tell our parents also, because in a new culture, and we're just like, oh yeah, so we're watching still a movie around 11 at night, and they're like, oh, don't you guys gotta go to bed, go to school tomorrow? No, all the Dutch kids stay up this late, we can keep watching the movie. And they're like, oh, well, I have no idea. Just little things like that. Or I would just go as a little boy just all the way to another town, or and it's like, oh, it's normal, everybody goes. And just playing your parents, as a little kid, how good we are at doing that. So
it's one of the things with kids. You have to teach your kid to share.
Yeah.
You do not have to teach your kid to say no or mine.
No, that is
steal.
True.
Yeah, or to steal. Like they're bent towards evil, like just humanity, and you can see it. As cute as toddlers are, you can see it in the toddlers.
And you're absolutely right. Like I have a daughter myself, and she's 6 years old. But I remember, you really had to teach her to share, because her first instinct was just selfishness, just mine.
Yeah.
And that is me and my sister. We were really selfish growing up, and got ourselves in a lot of trouble, especially if you grow up in a country as the Netherlands, where everything is tolerated. Drugs, alcohol, sex. They're
really,
really liberal on that part. So
I didn't know. I haven't actually been to the Netherlands.
Yeah, Amsterdam. Most people go there for Amsterdam, red light district, prostitutes and weed.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So you were in the Netherlands. Did you guys go to church, continue to go to church from Rwanda to in the Netherlands as well? But more of a Catholic church, was it?
No, we would go
a Catholic school
with East. No, not a Catholic school. It's pretty funny. I don't think there are Catholic schools in the Netherlands, at least not that I know of. Yeah. So Christian schools are there. Just main difference between public school and a Christian school is that they give you the Bible stories in the morning.
Oh, right.
But, yeah. That's all there was to it. But still, it's a deposit. All those stories hearing that as a kid. Because, coming to the, later when I got saved, one of the only prayer or songs that I knew was this song that I just learned as a little kid when I was 5-6 years old. And here I'm just singing that song that, Jesus is my good shepherd. Because that was just something that I had.
Wow. How old were you when you got saved?
So I was 18 years old. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what caused that shift in focus and to give your heart to the Lord?
Yeah. So it was after my mom and before my mom, my sister came to faith. My sister's around she's 4 years older than me.
Okay.
So when I was 16 years old, she came to faith, and it came in such a drastic way that she already was living out of house. She used to live in The Hague, it's a city in the Netherlands, with a friend who was a prostitute and doing drugs and things like that. And I remember she was coming home one day, and she just looked as if she came off of a bender, just totally confused. She pulled out all her dreads, the hair just like a crazy exploded afro. She looked crazy, and she was saying crazy things as well. She was just going around like, oh, Remy, you know that we are adopted. Mom and dad are not our real parents, but God is real, by the way. Oh, yeah. And then she
the day of Pentecost.
Yeah.
When they think that everyone's drunk.
Yeah. It was so weird because she was a lot of craziness, trying to climb out of her windows and things like that at night. But she was just, every now and then, she was just like, oh, but God is real. God is real. And then she would go back in her crazy state. But yeah, it got to a point that my parents didn't know what to do with her because she was just, every night she was just climbing out of her windows, and, she was a harm to herself. So after a while, they called in the doctors, and they just evaluated that she had to go to a mental hospital. So my sister went there, and me, as a stone cold brother that I was at that time, saw her go there, and, out of her mind, just thought like, man, my sister's there for the rest of her life. I'm never going to see her again. I just wrote her off. Like, from that moment, I don't have a sister anymore.
Wow.
And yeah, I think she was there like a year and a half. And I visited her maybe in that year and a half, twice.
So she was suffering mental health?
Yeah, she was in the mental health, in the mental institution. And I just, I visited her 2 times, but my mom went, continually and praying for her. And, this is, talking back in retrospect or in hindsight, what my sister told me is that in that mental hospital, she picked up a Bible one day. And when she picked it up, she heard the audible voice of God telling her, yes, you're on the right track. Keep going.
Wow.
And it spooked her out. She just dropped it like what is going on?
God's like, warmer. She drops it, colder. Colder.
She had to go back, after getting some courage again, she went back a second time.
Yeah.
And that time she picked it up and she heard it again. Yes, you're on the right track. Keep going.
Wow.
And that time she didn't drop it. She just kept reading it and reading it and reading it. And in the midst of her craziness, in the midst of that, in the mental hospital where she's all by herself, she just, received the spirit from God and her sound mind, and God just restored her. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah,
that's incredible.
Seeing that,
what's your sister's name?
Raisa.
Yeah. Shout out.
Yeah. Raisa. Yeah. And her last name is Uyeneza.
What does that mean?
That means welcome.
Oh, awesome.
It was like the first child to welcome in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So that obviously had a big impact on you.
Yeah.
What your sister went through. So she would have shared that with you on one of the 2 times that you visited?
Yeah.
Or when she came out?
Well, while I was there, she was talking about God, but especially when I came out, and like in such a rapid speed, she just, she got her life together. She just, paid off all her debt. She accumulated a lot of debt in that time. She went back to school studying law. She went, she stopped doing drugs. I was like, what's going on over here? And she was like, Remy, I told you, God is real. And I was like, no, none of that nonsense. Just tell me what is really going on. But, she was like, I'm telling you, God is real. Jesus is real. I met him, and I just couldn't deny the fruits, of the things that was happening in our life. But, you don't want to believe it at that time. And it took a while till took me something to go to that I couldn't handle myself, till I was finally, okay, let me listen to what he has to say.
Yeah.
Because later now, when I was 19, think around 2010. So what's that, 11 years ago? Yeah, 18, 19, around that age. My mom, she went back to Rwanda.
Right.
Because her politics was now, she was the head of the International Coalition Party, opposition party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
so she really was like right on invested in the politics while she was in the Netherlands, still invested in the politics in Rwanda.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I just look back, my parents always had a vision we want to go back. We want to go back to our country. And yeah, my mom never let that go. And then in 2010, she went back for the first public elections that were going to be held. And when she came in the country, she wanted to register a political party, and she got arrested, put on house arrest for a couple of months. But after that, they arrested her again, and then they put her in jail. And yeah, from that moment, we didn't hear anything from her. I just remember that last call just a day before she got arrested. She said, Remy, the soldiers are outside. I think they're going to arrest me again. And the next day, yeah, they did.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How old are you at this point?
So yeah, I think I'm 19 at this point.
Okay.
And,
this is 10 years ago.
Yeah. And just for me, man, my life was just crumbling. You know, my life at that time was just, partying. I've been, started smoke weed since I was 13 and doing drugs and always hanging out with older guys. So I always did, older things, things nobody should do, but things that older people do way too young. And so that was all my life, just partying, doing drugs, getting girls. That was just my prime focus. But then my mom, who went away, but she used to travel a lot for politics, going, different countries, meeting other political leaders, getting support. And I was used to her traveling, not being there. But now she got arrested, and she always told us, the chances are that I might be arrested or killed one day. But I just waved them off, that won't happen. But then it did. And yeah, when it did, I just, my whole world just got abruptly stopped. I was like, what is going on? I felt so helpless. I felt so powerless. My dad too. He couldn't do anything from the Netherlands. My whole family, everybody was just broken. And my little brother at that time was born in the Netherlands. He was 8 years old. And yeah, we just, I remember so many times just at work, just crying. And, there'll be, I would just, every time, I saw police somewhere, I just thought they would come and tell me the news that my mom had died. It was just, this is really it's just like you're in limbo. You just don't know what's going to happen every day because it was so silent also from the other side.
Yeah.
But in that midst, my sister, my crazy sister, who spent a couple of years in the mental hospital, she was just so full of faith. She was like, don't worry, Remy. God is with her. It's going to be all right. And these weren't just words. Like I saw it. She had this peace, that peace that goes beyond understanding.
Yeah.
And,
wow.
And I just, for me, I was like, okay, there's something, she has something. And then I picked up that Bible finally, the Bible that she bought me like a year before. And I was like, okay, let me read.
Warmer.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I didn't hear the audible voice, but man, that just, I remember I was one night I was out in Den Haag in the city, in the city library. And I failed for my school exam, so I had to relearn and do things. I was in the library for that purpose because not much more that I did for school. I eventually never finished my school. But I was in the library that night. And all of a sudden, it's so strange how God works. Because he had me reading a book for my school, for that I had to do for my exam. And in this book, it was... I don't know if you know him. His name is Erasmus. It's like an old, Reformed theologian, Dutch theologian. And in this book, he just had this passage about people who were like so, being crazy, out of their mind, and later coming back to their minds. But then they're saying, well, I'd rather go back to that state that I was in because I felt so close to God.
Right.
And that triggered something with me because my sister
Yeah.
said the exact same words. It's like when I was in a mental hospital in that crazy state,
Yeah.
I felt so close to God. It's like I wouldn't mind if I would go back there. And I was like, whoa, what? Like what? I'm like, this book is written 400 years ago.
Yeah.
And my sister just quoted
She
the same.
experienced
Yeah,
it.
she experienced that.
And you saw it too.
Yeah, and I saw it too.
Wow.
So I had my Bible with me also.
Yeah. So you're reading this theologian, and
Yeah.
then you're reading you got the Bible with
Yeah,
you, and you're like,
I
okay.
never had. I just carried it with me. I didn't read it. I just carried it with me. It is, how God works. It's amazing. So I pulled out my Bible. I opened it up, and I don't even know where I opened it up. All I know, I just started reading. I just read. I read until the library closed. And sometimes I wonder, like, man, I wish I knew what I actually read, but I think the power lies in the Word of God, completely in the whole, that I have no idea what I read. All I know is that I read it with a hunger. I read it like, I want to find what my sister and this theologian has found. I want to find it. And I was just reading. And the library closed. And I had to leave, and I went back to the subway station. And like I used to do, I never paid for a subway ticket. I would just always like subway, I mean like the metro system. So I never paid for a ticket. I would just get in, and I knew the whole schedule of those people come in and check your tickets. Because I've been doing it so many times. Like, okay, it's a Monday night. They'll probably come at this stop. But so but before getting in, I just hear this, this clear thought that it's not my own fault. It says to me, buy a ticket. And I just, okay. I was like, because it was really like, buy a ticket. I was like, okay, yeah. Weird. I just went sitting down. And the subway started riding, and it comes to the next station where usually nothing spectacular happens. But this time, these people came in to check your ticket, and they never do. Like, I know the whole schedule. And they never did. And they just got in at that stop, and they just started checking for tickets. And I was like, oh, what? God, wait, what is that? And I just start praying and talking to God, and he's just confirming me. And I'm just talking like, what? No, wow, that doesn't make sense. Like, what? Like, I was just, it was so crazy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was so
awesome.
good. Yeah, you could say from that day, like God showed me, on my way back home, that he was always already there in my life. But I just never saw it. I just never put the time to look at him. I was just looking away, too busy with my own thing.
Wow.
And I just felt such a
Sounds like an awakening.
Yeah, an awakening and repent. Like I just cried so much because I just felt as if I was ignoring my best friend my whole life.
Yeah.
But he was always there for me. And that's how it felt coming to God. That I knew him, but it was my first time that I met him. And then,
like you knew you were ignoring him, but now you're acknowledging.
Yeah.
Acknowledging it. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. What do you think, Joel?
Yeah, that's a similar experience. I feel like, it just reminds me that the kindness of God leads us to repentance. And it's so awesome. Somebody just told a testimony this morning. We were having some lectures at the YWAM base. They're telling a story of a guy in England who was a gang leader who got saved because Jesus walked in his room at night. It was like all alone, had a vision of Jesus just coming and meeting him personally. And the response to just seeing Jesus was repentance and was a complete confession. And it was just stark with the holiness of Jesus. He didn't even have to be told, you just see him, and that's exactly like that, Remy. It's like, man, you hear God, he bails you out of trouble, and you're like, okay, that's cool. And then what's meant is like, all right, man, who is this person that I just feel like my best friend that I've been ignoring, and it brings that like sorrow, but that joy at the same time that he's been there. So how did you continue on?
Well, yeah, man, after that, I got home and first thing I did was just doing the dishes. It was so weird because, I just got home. So my dad, hey, I'll do the dishes. And I was like, what's going on here?
What have you done?
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah. Yeah, I started to feel that same peace that my sister had over the whole situation of my mom. I just,
Wow.
we started to talk with each other and just be such peace. And we were something even laugh about it because it just looked so weird because people were asking us, how's your mom? And, our mom is, being locked up in a police state, in a prison,
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, yeah, no, it's going to be all right. God is with her. And just really lighthearted. And people were like, what's wrong with these kids,
Yeah.
Your mom is in jail. You don't know for how long. And we just had this perfect peace. And we just laughed. We even laughed together about it. Like, this is so crazy. How can we have this peace? And it is that peace that goes beyond understanding because it didn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, you just know God's good, and it's like, well, the Lord's got this. Our pastor just last night did a really cool sermon, and it's in either First or Second Kings, where Elisha gets his eyes opened and sees the armies of they're surrounded by their enemies, and then Elisha gets his eyes opened. The Lord opens his eyes and he sees hundreds of thousands of chariots and all the army of God surrounding the army that's surrounding him.
Yeah.
And he said something really interesting. He said, sometimes when you think you're surrounded by the enemy, when you're really surrounded by God, even more.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where that peace of God comes. I see the enemy. I understand he's there. But I understand even more that I'm surrounded by God, even more so than I'm surrounded by my enemy.
Yeah.
And, it's so true. I had a similar experience with when my dad had his car accident. I had this angel sort of come down to me and say, look, son, your father's going to be just fine. And I just had this peace, like the fear removed from me. The panic just dissipated.
Yeah.
Wow.
Totally gone. And I had no doubt, undoubtable, no mistake that I knew God, my dad was going to be absolutely fine. And I couldn't shake it. And I remember being so confused going back to school. So I was 7 years old at this time.
Yeah.
And I went back to school. And one of my friends came up to me and he goes, hey, I heard about your dad. And I was so shocked of his concern for my dad because I was so convinced he was fine.
Yeah.
I was shocked that he was concerned that he might not be okay. And that happened to all my teachers, and I had this shock of like I looked at them weird that they thought my dad was maybe not going to make it. Like, what are you talking about? He's going to be fine. I remember that first day so well, going to school as if everything's totally normal.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Not even thinking about my dad and how he's fighting for his life in hospital sort of thing. That didn't even cross my mind. And I was so convinced. Makes me sound like a terrible person, really.
Yeah.
But I was so convinced that God had this.
Yeah.
And I was only 7 years old. And I remember that first conversation with my friend, and I was like, what are you talking about? He's going to be fine.
Chill out.
You want to come over after school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is that, that eternal security, sometimes I just thought about Jesus saying, let the dead bury the dead, not concerned about it because he has a totally different perspective on it. And he just kind of, gives that to us and he shares that with us and that we could be in a situation that no, don't worry, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. That's so true. All right. So after, with your mum, so she's in prison. In Rwanda.
So yeah, she she spent 8 years in jail in Rwanda.
Man, that's a long time.
Yeah, and most of that time, she was, the first time they sentenced her, they wanted life, prison in life. After that, it was 30 years. Then eventually it became 8 years or something like that. And then it went higher to 15 years. And yeah, it's every time just going to court, this kangaroo court, because all the judges will just always, nobody dares to say otherwise than what the government says, what the president says. So it was just, after a while, my mom just refused to go to the court because her lawyers always got, pressured and harassed. And she's like, well, don't worry about it. We don't have to go because it's pointless. And but she had a lot of, supporters in the international community, Human Rights Watchers, the UN, and eventually, they pressured Rwanda so much that the president gave him a pardon. So he pardoned her in 2018, October.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember, like, my dad he just sent me a text. I was working at the time. He just sent me a text. Mom might be free. I don't know yet what's going on. I'll call you tomorrow. And I was like, what? You cannot just text me, Dad. And like nothing else.
What?
Yeah.
Explain.
Yeah. And I just started Googling it, and I just found this Rwandese page where it said that they, gonna release or had released. It was so unclear. Like, I was like, what's going on, Until, the next day we saw some pictures of her out of the prison. And then I just knew, wow, she's free. And it was so good. But yeah, she spent 8 years in jail.
Did she go back to the Netherlands?
Well, she's not allowed.
True.
They confiscated her passport. So she's like on another house arrest again. It's better than being in jail. Yeah. More freedom. She can move around. She can FaceTime us and see pictures of her grandchildren and all those things. But she's still in Rwanda.
Wow.
Okay.
Still fighting for her cause. Still doing politics. Still fighting for the human rights.
Wow.
Freedom of speech there.
Wow. Wow. Incredible. Man. And that is that pretty much caught up to right now? Like, how did you decide to come and do YWAM then?
Yeah.
Like, that's obviously you've had this peace of God that surpassed all understanding.
Yeah.
Throughout this which should have been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Of emotion over the 8 years that your mum was in prison, and how did you come across, like, all right, Lord, I'm going to fly from the Netherlands to New Zealand?
Yeah.
Which is it right? New Zealand is like Zeeland is something in Holland.
Yeah, the Netherlands has one province. It's called Zeeland.
Zeeland, and New Zealand is actually based off that.
Yeah,
that's why we're called New Zealand.
We have the old Zealand.
Yes. Is that why? Because here it's newer here.
I gotta go to the new one. Man, it's a whole nother journey by itself. Because like I said, this all happened, at least me coming to faith when I was 18, 19 years old. And, 10 years later, I didn't go on a 10-year 10-year cruise ship or, no. When I came to faith, I was, definitely, in the first year and a half in that, that first love, all I thought about was just God. I just eat the Bible. I was just reading it. But like I said, like I grew up in or at least in a lifestyle, and all my friends of that lifestyle were just total opposite, nobody was a believer. And when I came out and told them, hey, God and this and that, they started, to mock me, call me, the pastor. He's the pastor, he's shutting me down. And, after a while, man, it was just, I guess I had just so many shutdowns that I just, actually just shut down. And I just started to conform back to the world, conform back to my old self, conform back to how my friends and everybody was. And I just went back into my life, but not as how I used to be, but worse.
Wow.
It's like the Bible said, like when a dog who goes back to his own vomit, and that the latter state will be worse of that person. Because, man, I used to live a sinful lifestyle, you could say, but man, I just really got almost after I came back, like a tenacity, like way deeper and darker. It got real quick, and for a while, and I just I got a daughter, like I said, 6 years old, but her and me and her mom are not together. We broke up because I could just never keep at home. I was just always sleeping around, always going places and partying, doing whatever I want, really living for myself. And it's crazy because in the Netherlands, the name Remy means somebody who's always alone, or alone on the, and I was just really living for myself, a really selfish lifestyle. And I think it had to, hit several rock bottoms. And, you think you hit rock bottom, but, you managed to go deeper and deeper till eventually, it just hurts so much that you just come to a point of, total surrender. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, that's how you ended up essentially finding God again after hitting rock bottom a couple of times.
Yeah. It's a crazy thing. Yeah.
I'll just point out, C.S. Lewis has one book called The Screwtape Letters. And there's a demon in it called, is it called Wormtail or something? Wormwood.
Yeah.
And he talks about with Christians or people that they don't want people to get to rock bottom. They just want to get them sad. Yeah. Like not right to the very bottom, because at that point they surrender.
Yeah.
At that point God meets them. So they just pull them down till they're miserable, but not till they hit rock bottom, because that's actually the point where they find God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you look at a lot of people in the world, and you see that, like, if they do get any worse, well, the Bible talks about this. It talks about like somebody living in sin, and if they're living in sin, then go to them in confidence, and if they don't listen to you, bring brothers or sisters in Christ and talk to them in confidence. And if they don't listen to that, bring them to the elders, and if they don't listen to them, bring them in front of the whole church. If they don't listen to them, toss them out into the world, and hopefully their soul will be saved. Essentially, toss them out to Satan is what it said. Well, some of the translations say.
Yeah.
And it's like, toss them out till they get to rock bottom.
Yeah.
Is pretty much what it's saying. And they will fall on their knees and they'll find God.
Yeah.
But if you keep them with their lukewarmness, then they might not just ever get there, never fully surrender.
Sometimes you need to be, scared straight, you could say.
I like it, yeah.
And that definitely was the case with me. Man, I had to I've done some horrendous things, and I had, see some really terrible things that I was like, okay, I got myself in too deep now. God, get me out of this. And it was definitely when I broke up with my daughter's mother. I just okay, if that is what you're doing, I'm just, I got like depressed, and I started just drinking every day, drinking, going harder, just, numbing yourself. And I came to a point that just God said, I remember I was going to a club, and I was in the Netherlands. They're really big on how you call it, like laughing gas. We call it those balloons. Fill them with laughing gas, and they just sell it in the clubs, and you just take those things, you inhale it till the point you pass out. But might look like a minute or so, but for that person who is passing out, it's like a weird moment that almost feels like eternity. Like time is kind of like the strongest deja vu feeling you ever have, and just time kind of stops and melts past future. It's a weird thing. But I was doing that, and when I took that hit, I remember that day, God just said with a loud voice to me, "You fool, is this what you want? is this what you want? And I was like, oh, what's going on, man? And from that moment on, every time I just started to have this really demonic encounters, and it just got more intense, till one day, and that's the weird thing, because, you encounter it, then, then the next day, I'll be sober again, and just I'll go back drinking, doing my drugs again, bam, see him again. I'm like, okay, I'm not going there again. And
this big circle,
yeah, big circle. And one day I remember I was in the club, and it's the weird thing, everybody's just having a good time, hands are in the air, we're sitting in the VIP with some girls, yeah. And I'm taking this laughing gas, and I'm just sinking into this really darkness. And not only did it become dark over my eyes, I just felt this really dark presence, and this hatred towards me, these two, I don't know, it was like two entities so angry with me, and they just sort of, yeah, you belong here, and I was like, whoa. And when I got out of there, I was like, I looked my friend, I grabbed him, I looked him stone cold sober in a second. I was like, I gotta get out of here, and he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, I'm gotta get out of here. I was so terrified, and
wow,
yeah. So then I'm like, okay, I'm really, like, I felt that moment, and they said I belong here, and it was so dark, and I felt that hatred. I felt that was, the weeping and the gnashing of teeth, and that is where I was, and I was like, and everybody in the club was there, because it was just happening in the club, and I felt like everybody was there without they realizing it. They were just in this darkness and the weeping of gnashing of teeth, and it was such a terrified feeling. I left that club, and I was like, man.
That was the turning point.
Well, a lot of those.
One of the many.
I was really, really stubborn. Really stubborn.
Man, God's grace is good.
God's grace is good. And that's the crazy thing. I'm looking back now. Like, there's never been this one only turning point, I could say, because I had to fall on my face so many times, but God was still there, still there, and still there, and still there. That it doesn't make any sense, like, why is you still here, and every time ready to just pick you up. But I remember after my daughter left, my daughter's mom, she's an American, so I met her in the Netherlands, and we had our daughter over there. Her name is Nehea.
Oh.
And after that, me living that type of lifestyle. Yeah. And she's like, well, I'm not gonna wait here for you. Yeah. And her parents were planning to move back to America. So like, I'm gonna go back with my parents. So she decided to go back with her parents with Nehea. Yeah. And then being in America, her dad just called me up one day, and man, he's a really, really a man of God. Like, they, when I was, dating their daughter, they're missionaries. They were just, taking me in, always having dinner with them, and they would just read the Bible before dinner. Wow. And I was like, well, that is weird. Because I came to faith, but, me and my sister, but we didn't have, any...
Not like communal Bible reading. It was...
Yeah, we didn't have really role models who,
Oh, true, yeah.
Because, we were doing this kind of on our own, figuring out God is real, reading our Bibles. And then I'm just, dating this girl who have these parents who are missionaries, and they actually read the Bible, and they pray for each other when they're sick. And I was like, oh, this is different. But I still got their daughter pregnant. Yeah. Even after the dad at the beginning had a talk with me, to honor and wait for marriage, but of course couldn't wait and did my own thing. And even after that, they were so loving to me. They were so kind to me. Wow. They were so supportive to me. And I was like, that doesn't make sense, They should be, cutting me off, be angry with me, but they just loving me, embracing me, forgiving me.
Wow.
After what I've done with their daughter, I was 22. Lani, her mom, my daughter's mom was, I think around 2019, at that time. And yeah, I just, took, kind of ruined the little girl's life. But here they are, embracing, taking care of that life that we created together, and just being kind to me. So yeah, when they were in America, the dad just called me up one day because he just saw that, heard the stories. The stories always will go where you don't want them to go, even though people move away the other side of the world. And they're like, Remy, what are you doing? Like, you'll never be able to see your daughter again. Like, what are you doing,
Yeah.
And he just said, like, I have a friend. He's doing a Bible study. Go there this Tuesday. I'm calling. I'm telling you, you're coming. Go there this Tuesday.
Awesome.
Yeah. So good. So good. And sometimes you need it. Sometimes you need just somebody who tells you the truth, the firm thing, the truth. Like, hey, if you keep going this way, there will be consequences. And the consequence was, never see my daughter. And I was like, okay, I'll go to the Bible study. And I came to that Bible study, and it was like, I think the second youngest person was like 40 years old. Everybody else.
Nice.
Yeah. Everybody, 50s, 60s. And I was like, I want a young church. I want some young, peers around me. But man, that was so good. Like the wisdom, these veteran Christians, all these just poured over me.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that was just so good. That is what I needed. Firm Christians.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I was, we were doing a Bible study on Romans, and somewhere along that Bible study, I want to get baptized.
Yeah.
So yeah, they, this, the pastor was leading that. He said, okay, I'm gonna mentor you. So he mentored me for a while, and then my baptism was coming up. I was at that time 25, 26, yeah. And I invited, some of my friends from my lifestyle, come to my Bible. I invited a lot of them, but few of them came. And, and I invited my dad. And my dad first said, I'm not coming. And why I said I'm not coming is because it's another side story. But my dad, in the meantime, he got paralyzed. So he was living in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, so at my baptism, I got all my friends from my other lifestyle, my dad there, and then me giving my testimony, about, how, every time I just went back again. I just cried out. I was like, man, guys, to my friends, like, please, if you see me struggling, next time, if you guys go out, please don't invite me, because I cannot say no. I just can't. Like, I just always had to go. I had the worst case of FOMO. I just always needed to be where the party was at. And
it's quite common with this culture, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so afraid of missing out. And then you go and they're like, it's exactly the same the last week. Even worse, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just chasing that dragon.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, my baptism, I gave my testimony, and it's really funny because I went on stage, first word out of my mouth, just crying, ocean upstairs.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's real, though.
Yeah. Man, heartbroken, over my sins and keep doing the same mistakes. And then my dad saw that testimony, and the lake where we were going to do the baptism was like, a little bit... like 20, 30 minutes on the bike, and he had like this scooter.
Okay.
This the 3-wheel when you're sitting in. And, yeah. And he was not planning to go there because it's like quite a hassle for him to go there, being so immobile.
Yeah.
But after the testimony, it was like, no, I'm gonna come. I want to be there. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, that really meant a lot for me. So we went to the lake, got baptized there, and a big shift happened after my baptism. 'Cause beforehand, oh man, I got away with a lot of stuff. Like, I got away with so much stuff that sometimes I look back, man, I should have been or in prison, or I would have had 6 other more children from different girls, or just I would just so many things I got away with, and but the moment that I got baptized, that I publicly confessed, because I believed in God, but now I publicly confess, to everybody, to heaven and earth, that God is my Father. Yes, He is my Father.
Yeah.
Things changed. Like, I didn't get away with anything anymore after that. Like, God's like, okay, you're my son. Okay, come here. I'll discipline you.
Yeah.
I think the next 3 years were harsh discipline.
Wow.
But it was good. I needed it really bad, desperately.
Yep. Man, that's amazing.
So then what was your pursuit after that then, and how you got to YWAM?
Yeah, let me get, still not there, yeah. So after that, I pursued my daughter first, I was like, okay, I was baptized in the Netherlands. I'm going over to America because I just knew I need to be near to her and see her, take care of her. And I found this community, it's called Camp Hill, where they take care of special needs children, teenagers, young adults. And they're always looking for volunteers to live there and work with them, do life with them, and at the same time, mentoring them. Because it's like a big farm. Okay. And you just take care of the animals, cows, chicken, pigs, everything. And it was self-sustainable. So it was really cool. I really enjoyed it there. First time, doing really outside country work, working and living on a farm instead of, I was, before that I was living in Den Haag, and in the city, you just always, grew up, Rotterdam, but, then I lived in Den Haag, and always, the city just got this FOMO so bad because there's always something to do.
Hustle and bustle.
There's always something to do, exactly. And now I was on this farm in Pennsylvania, quiet Pennsylvania, Amish land. And, I remember when I came there, I was like, oh man, I can stay here for the rest of my life. That's what I thought. That's actually what I thought. I'm like, oh, God, I'll stay here for the rest of my life. And, give my life to these handicapped children, be near to my daughter, and just living the simple, quiet life. And it was really quiet. It was so quiet that after a while, I started to, give myself more freedoms again. Yeah. I was like, before I left, I cut all the rap music. I was listening to so much rap, but I cut it all off because, they just totally promoting that lifestyle that I just, left.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm in this safe community, I can listen to some rap songs again. So I'm just starting to listen to, everything actually again. But man, what comes into you, has effect, it will affect your heart, and then it will, affect your actions. And yeah, I could really pinpoint it. It was like a half year almost later, after I started, I gave myself really clearly, I'm going to listen what I want to listen. After I said it to my soul, just started drinking again, started to sleep around again, started to smoke again. Everything just came back. Like half year later from saying that to my own soul,
wow,
I was just exactly...
So like 1 degree off over time, just... Yeah, you end up being quite distant. Yeah. And this time it was different because, like I said, God didn't tolerate, my mess anymore. He started to discipline me. And, coming to the end of, all those things going wrong was one thing that, we had a party over there in the community, wasn't allowed to drink alcohol. So it was like a sneaky party we had. And when it got out, and I did a lot of bad things, to some girls, at that party. Things I'm definitely not proud of. But when I come out, all the blame will shift towards me. All the alcohol, all the, the girls, the things, and everything came on me. There were a lot of guys, other people at the party. But I knew that blame was rightly placed because God told me specifically, you are the only one who knows me. You are the only one who said, that believes in me. Yeah. So, man, they came hard down on me. It's like, Remy, you gotta go. And I went on my knees. I begged. I'm like, please, for my daughter. And they're like, no, you gotta go. And it felt exactly, God told me, it doesn't matter how much you plead.
I'll show no mercy. And I was like, man, that is cold. But that is, you need that sometimes. It comes a point that, I was 20, how was it? 27, and I was still thinking to get away with things that a teenager gets away with.
Yeah.
It was enough, God said it's enough, done.
Yeah.
2 weeks to leave the States. And I was just so ashamed to go back to the Netherlands. I was like, man, after leaving there was such a testimony. After leaving there, everything behind.
Yeah.
Coming, moving 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles further and doing exactly the same things. What will my friends say? Like, this guy, he can't change. God is not real. I thought you believed in God, or God didn't change him. Look at him.
Yeah.
And I just felt so ashamed that I was like, man, God, I repented. I fasted, for real for the first time in my life. And I was like, Lord, please, take me anywhere. Take me anywhere, but not back to the Netherlands.
Wow.
And that anywhere was New Zealand.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a friend of mine called me up, in that 2-week time period that I had to leave. I'm just stressing. To make things come full circle, this is so crazy. So, my daughter's mom seeing some change in me. Oh, he's coming, got baptized, coming to America, changing his ways, And she found an amazing man of God of faith there. His name is Joe, and they got married, and he's been so good to me because even though she saw she saw some change in me, and the parents saw it and were really proud of me, but for her it was just too painful with all the things I'd done in the past. So I never really had contact anymore. My daughter's mom. But every contact that I had with my daughter went to Joe or to her grandparents. And it was really good. And he's such a good brother of mine, man. He's always the first time I met him, he just said to me, hey, my parents had an ugly divorce, and using me and my brother against each other. I never want to put another child through that. So I'm going to be your friend, if you, act, responsibly. And man, I was so happy. We just read Philippians 2 together that, outdo each other.
This is your daughter's mother's partner.
Yeah. So my daughter's stepdad. Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So God really blessed me with that, with having a brother in Christ like him.
Yeah.
Raising my daughter. But yeah, then, when everything went wrong again in the States, then, her parents took me in for, in this 2 week, they took me in for like a week. And, and they didn't tell Alani, their daughter, that I was there. And one day, so I haven't seen her, I think around 4 years, I don't know, 2 years. I didn't see her, or maybe I saw her once every time, but never spent a long time with her. It was always just,
yeah.
Don't sound so rude, but handing over, giving the heya, and that was it,
Yeah.
And so I'm at their house, and she just comes there. I'm there because I got kicked out of the community. She comes home, and she's like, her little brother says like, oh, Remy is here. She's like, what is he doing here? And then, so he went to her dad. He explains the whole story, how I got kicked out of the community and how I have to leave the States. And so I haven't seen her in a while. And man, I open the door, I come in the living room, I see her. She sees me, we look at each other. And she says like, man, after all those years, you're still the same.
Oh, that would cut deep.
Yeah.
And she left, and that came in like you said, like a sword. And I was like, bam. I was like, man, yeah, and she was right. She was so right. It was, there wasn't all that happened, of course.
Yeah.
But man, I still ended up,
It's amazing how people say these things, but it almost does look orchestrated from the Lord. If she hadn't have said that, that stab might not have been enough for you to be like, Hit rock bottom again.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I felt that was from the Lord.
Yeah.
I had to felt that and understand that and see that, and come to a complete end of yourself, and that end, then brought me all the way to the end of the earth, over here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And it was because, after staying there, a friend of mine called me up. Like, it's so random, like how the Lord worked. Worked with him, a couple of years ago, back in the Netherlands for 2 years, and he's an Australian. John T is his name. And he just called me up. Hey, brother, how you doing? You good? I'm like, yeah. I'm not really. Like, what was happening? I'm like, well, told him the whole situation. He's like, just come over here. Just come to New Zealand. I'm staying in my family's holiday home in Wanaka. You can stay here for a while, get your act together, find some work, get some money till you find a way to go back to the States. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do it, I was like, okay, let's do it. And didn't have any money because, the 2 years, year and a half that I was there in the States, I was doing volunteers work. So I didn't got any money at all. And I was just like, Lord, I'm going to get to New Zealand, And my friend said, I'll pay you the visas and all those costs. You just make sure you get a ticket. I'm like, yes, good, do that. So he pays the visas and everything. And I'm just here. Okay, how I'm going to get there? And I'm just, I had this amazing co-worker of mine. He's a Jewish man. And he just really felt for me. He just felt like, he messed up, but I want to help him. So, I asked him, he asked me, do you have any money? I said, I don't have any money. I was like, okay, I'm going to ask the community for you. So he asked the community, the ones, who I just betrayed with, doing all that stuff on their property. And by God's grace, they said, okay, we give him $900 towards his ticket, but that's it. So we had these $900. And they was like, well, look out for some tickets. And every ticket to New Zealand was around $1,100, $1,400 US. We're like, it's still too short. It's like, oh, wait. I know this auction website. So we're going on this auction website. And he's just, finding that one ticket from $900. And we bought it. And it was just in time, and it was a better connection than every other ticket.
Wow.
Yeah. The God is amazing. So he got me the ticket. I flew from Newark to Hawaii. From then had a 18-hour layover. Then Hawaii to Auckland.
Yeah.
And man, I felt so alone. I felt so alone during that flight. To Hawaii, walked around the island, slept on the beach. It was a beautiful dark night until a girl woke me up like, hey, brother, you better don't sleep here because they'll rob you tonight. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. They woke me straight up, went straight back to the airport.
Wow.
But then on my second flight, God just placed me next to this Bible teacher.
No way.
Yeah. He says, we're next to this Bible teacher, yeah. This YWAM Bible teacher.
Was he one of the... Who was he?
I don't know.
His name is...
He's not someone at the Queenstown base?
No, I don't think so.
He was from the YWAM Hawaii, Kona.
Oh, yeah.
And he was on his way to Australia to teach over there.
Oh, okay.
And he just came from Pakistan before. He just showed me this amazing Christian life of going around and teaching. And I was like, what? And he was just sitting next to him for the next, 10 hours. He's just pouring into me. His name is Christoph. Yeah. And he's just pouring into me. And I'm just clueless because, why I heard. He said, oh, yeah, there's some white women in New Zealand. Oh, okay. Didn't really know what it was or anything, but, he planted that seed there, God, just his amazing hand to all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you ended up obviously making your way down to Wanaka to Jonty, your friend. And in Wanaka, you obviously started investing interest into YWAM and researching it and found there's one in Queenstown.
Yeah.
Just only 45 minutes away.
Yeah. I did. I remember the day coming here. I wrote in my journal, Lord, teach me the fear of the Lord. I'm done breaking down what you've built up. Like, I'm done with that. Teach me the fear of the Lord. That's the first time I ever asked that in my life.
Wow.
Was that in July of last year, or was that when you came in April?
When I came, that was when I came to New Zealand. So that was 19 October 2019. And yeah, it's been an amazing journey. But yeah, here in New Zealand.
And you would have just made it in.
Yeah. I just,
before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did.
Man, that's another testimony right there.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, because Remy, you came originally in July, and we were running a pre-DTS, a sort of a 1 week seminar on what the DTS is and to get your feet wet kind of thing. And Remy came from Wanaka with a couple other of his friends, and that's when Remy and I got to know each other. Yeah. And then, a couple months later, decided to come and do the full DTS, which is awesome. And so I've been able to do that with him. But even your visa, because you came in October, so you would have come in 4 months or so before the pandemic. Yeah. You've been stuck here, but they just keep extending the visas here. And so the whatever visa you're on, it gets extended, and then it was supposed to be out in, June?
Yeah, 30th of June.
30th of June.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, me and Remy are going to be doing an outreach around New Zealand in 5 days. So we're going to take a team and go to the North Island and the South and go around to the different cities and do evangelism and stuff like that. And we're thinking, all right, the outreach is 2 months, but his visa's up in June. And so, we're trying to figure out which one to apply for. And Remy, you kind of had a plan of wait until this day because then I can apply and hopefully, and fingers crossed and a lot of prayer, but it got extended again, which is amazing. So God keeps providing a way for you to be here, man. And we're happy to have you.
It's good. It's great. Super great to be here, man. It is, it changed my life forever. And little did I know that New Zealand is going to was going to be a part of my life. But man, God's been good to me here.
Yeah. Oh man, that's been one of the most amazing stories I think I've heard.
Yeah.
On this podcast. So thank you so much for coming in, responding and coming in. I remember you coming to church that one time when you and I first met, and God really did highlight you to me, and I was like, when I started talking to you for the first time, I felt, and then I get him to share his story with you. And he didn't necessarily say on the podcast, but I wanted to sit down with you.
Yeah.
But obviously we have this amazing podcast anyway, so I was like, we'll just do it with a microphone. Why not?
Yeah.
If he wants to share it with a microphone, then that's cool. Because God's story in all of us, it's so powerful. Especially your one. What I got from yours is it's like the whole nation of Israel wrapped in one person. Because in the Old Testament, you would know, the nation of Israel, they started essentially falling away from God. Then God sends a prophet. Prophet brings them to repentance. They get back to God. Then they kind of get sick of trying to get close to God again. They fall away again. Then God sends a prophet, and then they repent and cycle for hundreds of years. And it's this constant trying to get close to God, but never quite close enough to be totally set free and broken from those chains. And your whole life is has been similar to that, and you've experienced God, and then God's grace has been there every single time, even in the struggles. And the amazing part is every time that you go through that redemption, it's like more powerful, and the chains are broken. Like it's like I just get this sort of when someone's breaking a door down, when they smack on the door, and you might see some of the hinges and some of the bolts fall off. Then they stop for a while, and they give it another big smack, and then maybe the door handle comes off, and you see some of the wood sort of shake apart. And then there's that final blow where the whole door just comes down.
Yeah.
God says he stands at the door and knocks.
Yeah.
I feel like with you, there's no door left, bro.
Yeah.
He has knocked that door down so hard, and it's never going to block him out ever again. And just thank you so much for coming on and sharing that. It's such a powerful testimony. Like God's moved radically in your life and showing like it's a real story of redemption.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Thank you, Jules. And
Awesome.
it is 2 in 1 blow, though. But yeah, man, that is exactly like you said, and especially here in New Zealand, that final blow to that door for me was just the loyalty of God, because He was always loyal.
That's
to
really
me,
good.
Yeah,
to all that mess, how dirty it got, how disloyal I was.
He'll never leave you.
He was still loyal, and that will break you. That will break anyone. If you just see like, hey, my father, my mother will desert me, but you will never desert me. And that loyalty just that changes your heart.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Wow, man! Thanks so much, Remy. We would love to, man. If we could have you on another time or just catch up with you again. But man, thank you for sharing your story, and we pray that it would impact people who listen to it and who hear it. And so, we know God's going to use it.
Man,
appreciate it, man. Join us next time for another great episode. We'll see y'all later.